What if I told you that with just 2 villagers, 6 pieces of bread, and 1 pasty boy, you could make the 3 most powerful farms in the game in one build? You've seen dozens of iron farms of all shapes and sizes, some of them better than others. You've seen countless trading hall designs and many more crop-based villager breeders, most of which are huge builds on their own, but you've never seen them all combined in one until now. This is Minecraft for the people. This all-in-one iron farm villager breeding trading hall combines the best 3 farms into one small package. Using 0 wasted villagers, some of which perform 3 roles simultaneously, this farm gives you more than 1,200 iron per hour, infinite emeralds and items from selling this iron to villagers, and comes with support from more than a dozen villager breeders built directly into the hall itself, 2 of which are shown here. This farm makes so much iron that you don't even need to zombify villagers because you'll have so many emeralds from trading. I'll also show you how to start the farm up from having almost no resources at the beginning of the game, starting with only a portion of the farm. I'll show you how to build the farm on the ground, but you can also build it in the air just as shown here. World download and schematic is in the description. What's up people, I'm Potato Noir, and today I'm going to show you my new iron farm villager breeding trading hall setup. And this farm actually combines 3 separate farms into one and has no wasted villagers, so let's jump right into it. So the key point of this farm is this villager in the center, and he actually makes it to where each of these 4 separate iron farm stations on the corners will continually spawn iron golems. And these stations are actually really incredible because whenever this golem is exactly right here, he'll be exactly 17 blocks away from the other villager who is in charge of spawning golems on his station. So that is the exact distance away that they need to be to where he won't detect this golem right here, and this guy won't detect this golem right here. So as you can see, there are 3 beds in this corner, and these are the 3 villagers responsible for spawning the golems. And these are so that at night, they will hop into these beds and they'll still be scared by this guy bobbing up and down. So they'll sleep because villagers need to sleep periodically every 20 minutes or so that they can still spawn the golems. And this carpet here is actually just so these villagers don't spawn up out of their beds directly on here after the night has ended. And they actually go back into their little cubbies so that we can trade with them. And the carpet is so that the block that prevents them from doing that won't be too obtuse and you can still go ahead and trade with all these villagers right here. So up here we have the iron golem spawning platform. This is made out of actually a nether wood so that it will not burn these trapdoors here. And the rest of it you can make out of any fences and any blocks that you like, as long as these aren't transparent and that they're full blocks. And we have 1 block of water in the corner, which will push all the golems directly over this hopper here. And this hopper minecart will actually suck up the items, because if you just had a normal hopper here, the items would sometimes go in between these right here, these fences, as you can see, because this iron golem comes right to the edge. But the hopper minecart is actually good about picking up a lot of items that kind of float off. So just for that one little trade-off, it'll be less iron than if you had hoppers set up on this right here to block those spawns. So you can put that like that. And here we have the storage system for all the iron and poppies that come into here. And if you start getting too many poppies, you can actually dump them into this right here, which is a little converter for poppies into bone meal. If you don't want 1,000,000 of those things, you can just slowly convert them into bone meal. And you can install these on every corner if you'd like. I've just shown it on one just for the demonstration purposes. So you can put that in if you'd like. And one thing I forgot to mention is that this spawning platform is exactly, or almost exactly, the perfect distance away to catch most of the spawns from these 3 guys right here in the trading hall setup. The maximum spawn range is 7 or 8 blocks away from the villager, depending on whether you're north, south, or east and west. So as you can see, this guy is, the platform is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 blocks depending. So this guy right here will be able to spawn to the whole platform, and these 2 guys will be able to spawn into most of the platform, which will give you most of the spawns from all the iron golems, and you can catch a majority of them while still being completely cheap and super easy to build. So turning off this farm is easy. All you have to do is come in here and press this button, and the villager will stop jumping up and down, and he won't be able to see all the villagers to spawn the golems. This brings me to one of the most exciting parts about this farm, and that's that you can put villager breeding stations directly into this farm, and you can go ahead and trade with those guys. But they don't like me because they've seen me kill some of their friends right now. But if you didn't do that, then they would trade, have very good trades right here for you. So the way this works is that these villagers are directly on top of a iron bar, and I'll go ahead and show you the underside real quick. So that way, whenever they get enough food to breed, the baby villager will actually just be kind of pushed off the side whenever they move around, and they'll actually float down in here into this setup, and they'll go ahead and grow up. And whenever they grow up, then this minecart system can actually pull one out, and they actually do not get the baby villagers, and the baby villagers don't jump in the setup as long as you have a bar directly above here. The baby villagers will stay down there, and nobody can get out, and it'll pick up the adults and send them right up here, and then you can go ahead and change their trade stations. And additionally, one of the coolest parts about this farm is that whenever you just have 2 villagers to start, you'll put them both in here, and if you give them 3 bread each, then they'll immediately be able to breed. So let's see if they'll go ahead and be nice and do that for us here. Sometimes it takes a little bit. Oh, yep, see, there they go. And if these beds aren't occupied by a lot of the villagers who are down here, then they'll go ahead and make a baby. If they do get occupied by having too many villagers down here, you can break these beds and replace them, which will make those villagers not claim them anymore. So we just got a baby. You can hear him hit the iron right there. So he'll be pushed down just like that. And then he'll go and float next to his friends over here to stay and go into his cubicle for all eternity. So like I said, if you notice that they get the angry particles, then really the main reason is that the bed is already claimed or there isn't a bed available. So we have these 2 trapdoors here so that the villagers can theoretically pathfind to these beds, because if they can't pathfind to these beds, then they won't be able to make another baby because they won't think there's room for them. And if there's babies that have somehow already claimed these 3 beds here, then they also won't make another baby because they will think there's no room for them. So you could either break these, or you could devise some sort of way to where these villagers cannot claim them anymore. But worst comes to worst, you can always replace them here. But if you have these villagers being sent off, then that should not be an issue because these villagers shouldn't be able to claim these beds. And optionally, if you like, you can install these droppers right here in the villager breeder setup. And what this will do is give you a pretty easy way to distribute the bread to these 2 villagers. Although sometimes the guy on the left can grab some from the right, and the guy on the right can grab some from the left, but generally it's pretty useful. Additionally, if you found that a villager has started not to like you for whatever reason, I mean, maybe may or may not be killing his friends, so you can go ahead and take a lava bucket, and this is the easiest way to dispose of him without his friends getting mad at you. So now these guys won't have added me any negative points, and we can go ahead and put a different villager in here. This farm is actually powered by a bunch of these toolsmiths and the weaponsmiths and armorers, all trading for you 4 iron for 1 emerald. So they should be able to reset their trades even while the villager is go ahead and jumping right now. So he went ahead and leveled up, and oh, it is not the proper time, so let me set it to noon. That is when they'll start resetting their trades for sure at that time. And see, he just reset that, even though this guy is still jumping here. So it is possible to run the villager trading hall setup while he is scaring all of them, contrary to popular belief. And one last thing about this farm is I've gone ahead and put the exact numbers of all the workstations that I think is perfect. But you can put however many you'd like on these, but I have enough books for one of every major enchanting book in the game for all of the highest tiers of all those. And we also have some toolsmiths and weaponsmiths and armors. And what they'll do is whenever you actually level these guys up from trading so much, they'll become masters. And then these guys will sell really high picks and axes. And you can refer to this chart that I'll put on the screen right now to see what exactly everyone sells when they level up. But the toolsmiths will actually sell high weapons, or the toolsmiths will sell high tools, the weaponsmiths will sell high weapons, and the 4 armors will actually sell you 1 of each kind of diamond enchanted armor. And they will be like not the best enchantments all the time, but they'll still have pretty decent enchantments, and you can get those super early game from this without even mining any diamonds at all. And so there's also some clerics here to get redstone and also ender pearls, and there's more villagers as well. There's a lot of masons to give you quartz and building blocks. There's like I said, librarians for books, and also a few other odds and ends like a cartographer to lead you to woodland mansions and ocean monuments, and also a leather worker to give you saddles when he's leveled up, and a fletcher to give you arrows, and a shepherd who can give you beds, who can help you get some of the wool and carpet for this build, and also some of the beds for this build if you'd like to put him in early. And additionally, one thing that I haven't mentioned is that if you'd like to name tag this villager, because he'll need to be name tagged, if I can joke, yeah. So this villager actually needs to be name tagged. So if you put a librarian in here as well, maybe instead of this fletcher or instead of this leather worker, probably be a better idea. And then you can level them up, and librarians, I'll show you here, have a 100% chance to sell you a name tag whenever they're a master. So you can get that name tag from the villager trading hall setup. You don't even have to go to a dungeon or a mine shaft to get that. So you can actually get that completely within this build. Once you have that name tag, then you can capture him and pacify him, which I'll show you how to do later during the tutorial, and so that he can be your primary scarer here. So that is about all the mechanics of this farm summed up, so I'll go ahead and skip to the tutorial to show you how to build it. So you want to go ahead and start up this farm in an area that's next to a village, find a nice flat open space and begin clearing a pretty large area. Or you can build it in any area as long as you have 2 villagers nearby. So once you have that area cleared, you're going to go ahead and start building these blocks as shown here. Place 3 iron bars next to each other as shown, and then kind of cage it up with blocks here with slabs on top. Next, you're going to go ahead and put the workstations behind these bars as shown, and I'd actually recommend starting with a fletching table instead of the loom here, and you can put the loom in later to get the beds for the village. Now bear with me as I get these trapdoors right, and just go with the final configuration here. Next, when you have your 2 villagers to start the farm, make sure you block up the trapdoor in the back as shown, and build this structure in front with top slabs and beds, and you can break the blocks underneath those beds, you won't need them, and then cover it with carpet and leave 1 extra space. And when it's nighttime, the villagers should go directly in, and you cover it back up with carpet, and then they'll go directly into their slots. Then next you want to go ahead and start building the area for the 3rd villager once he gets bred up, and then you want to use a transparent block so you can use leaves or glass underneath, and go ahead and build up a similar structure. Make sure you're blocking up that workstation so that whenever he gets up he won't go try and pathfind to it. Then you want to go ahead and start digging a 3x5 directly underneath the iron bars. And on the bottom of this, you're going to go ahead and make all the blocks grass and go ahead and turn them into dirt paths. This will prevent iron golems spawning down here. Make sure you do that on all the bottom blocks. And then you're going to go ahead and extend this 5 more blocks and converting everything to path blocks so that whenever you put water sources on the end here, they'll flow directly to the end and it'll be the last water source on the very end of this section here. Then you're going to want to clear out these top blocks on the very end here. This is where your rail is going to go, so you need a little space to walk around. You don't have to clear a path up to the surface yet, but go ahead and put in this dispenser here. Then put a button on it and 2 powered rails in front. And then at this point, if you'd like to have 2 villager breeders, you can actually extend this whole system by 3 more blocks, making sure to put path blocks on the bottom, unlike what I did at this point. And then you go ahead and take your rail up as shown here, and you're going to want 1 powered rail, and you're going to want to put a lever on that so that it powers, and then push your rail up here and any block right there. So now at this point you can start your villager breeder. So you give each of your villagers 3 bread, and you may have to wait a little while for the right time of day, but they should begin breeding immediately. It never hurts to give them more bread, and then once they begin breeding, you can go ahead and place these dead beds down here as shown. So now you should get your first villagers down here. They should be babies and they shouldn't be moving. So now you peacefully wait until they grow up and then send them on their minecart way up into the front where you can go ahead and change their profession. And you want this villager to be a toolsmith with a smithing table. Now you want to go ahead and get the way ready for the 3rd villager, so just build it exactly like you did the other 2, and making sure to leave the carpet open at the front. And then you go ahead and wait until it's nighttime and they'll automatically pathfind into that bed. If they pathfind to the other beds, you can break them and then they'll go into here. And if you have trouble using this method, you can also use minecarts to deposit them directly into the slot itself. So now to prevent iron golem spawning, you want to make path blocks out in this shape, 8 blocks out from where the villagers will be. And now you go ahead and fill in the rest of the path blocks, or if you don't like the look of this, you can put leaves or glass or any other iron golem non-spawnable block here. And now to be safe at nighttime, you want to add 2 non-spawnable blocks so that zombies can't pathfind up to any villagers inside. And then go ahead and position a boat on some path blocks and some path blocks above to protect a zombie during the daytime, and then go wrangle your zombie. This part's actually really easy. You just get it to follow you and then slowly lead its way back in. Make sure you don't have any paths to where he can go up into your villagers and they'll be safe. And getting the zombie in the boat is actually very simple. He'll just walk straight into it most of the time. Now, before you build the spawning platform, you want to go ahead and block off this zombie from viewing the villagers just so that they don't try to spawn any golems while you're building this platform here. And then you want to go ahead and build exactly 5 blocks up from the platform. And then you want to make a 5x5 of solid blocks. Go ahead and surround this with any type of fence, and you don't actually need the corners, so you can take those out. Put some water in the corner, and then when you break the first block, you shouldn't have any coming down. Now you want to put in the lava. Do this by putting one fence up as shown, then putting a nether wood fence gate and opening it. And on top of that, you're going to put another fence gate and surround that with 2 open on the water side and then 2 closed on the fence side. And then at the end of that, you can put your lava on top of the fence gate and remove that temporary fence at the beginning. So then at this point, your mini farm is ready to be started. So you can go ahead and remove the blocks in front of the zombie and you should start getting iron golem spawns. So you can keep these for however long you like to level up your villagers. You'll need exactly 10 emeralds to level up your toolsmith so that you can get the iron trade. And the way I recommend doing this is trading sticks for emeralds to the Fletcher first. Then once you have those 10 emeralds, you can go ahead and level up your toolsmith, and you do this by trading for useless things. Then once you have all those useless things traded, you can go ahead and see when he levels up, he'll automatically trade you 3 or 4, usually 4 iron for 1 emerald. And this is where the money making happens. Because at this point, you take that emerald that you get from the iron trade and you get your farmer to sell you back bread that then you can then put back into your villager breeder to make more babies. And this makes the farm entirely sustainable. So you may have to re-roll your farmer's trades to do this, but you just go behind and you can replace a composter from back here and you should get the item back. And then once you get that trade for bread, go ahead and lock it in so that he doesn't change his trades anymore. So then you can go ahead and give Adam and Steve about as much bread as you can trade for, and they'll keep producing babies until the end of time. If you want 2 villager breeders like I showed in the demonstration, go ahead and block up your zombie so that you can add the next villager section here. Next, you want to make the next villager breeder exactly like the first one. You can block off the zombie there, and optionally you can remove the block below the trapdoors to help with villager pathfinding. And I would recommend a librarian and a shepherd. And once you have those guys in place, you can go ahead and trade up your librarian to get name tags, and then that'll allow you to name tag the pillager and get rid of the temporary zombie setup. Go ahead and get a good enchanted book on your librarian, and if you level up the shepherd, he can help you get the rest of the beds you'll need. Then you can go ahead and trade up your librarian. You can do this by trading back and forth books and then breaking the bookshelves to get more books and then trading for things like glass and clocks, finally until you get the name tag. Now that you have the name tag, you can go ahead and get rid of your temporary zombie setup and begin building the rest of the villager trading hall and the other iron farm modules. Dig a 1 deep down hole that's 15 by 15 blocks. Go ahead and rearrange the rail as shown here, and then next you're going to dig another hole in the center. This one's going to be 2 deep, and it's going to be 8 blocks on the top by 9 blocks on the side. Now you're going to build the chamber where your pillager will rest and bob up and down. So go ahead and do that as shown here with 2 walls. And once you get the glass in this configuration, you should be able to put a dispenser with a water bucket, and that'll make a little stream of water that flows and causes him to bob up and down. Now we have to convert everything to a path block instead of a dirt block because we don't want any iron golems spawning here. And we're going to go ahead and dig out the spaces where the villagers will rest on the bottom floor. Go ahead and follow the block placement as shown here. Basically what we're doing is we're getting the area between the 2 layers ready, and we're going to start getting that top layer ready as well. But first, we can't forget to spawn proof out 8 blocks from the outer villagers, and so this can be a little bit of a chore depending on where you've built your build. Remember that you can spawn proof with slabs, leaves, or glass, or other blocks if you wish, and refer to the video in the description if you want to know about those. Don't worry about that section by the rail until later, and go ahead and put half slabs up in the configuration I'm going to show you here. They should be even with the ones at the beginning of your build. Place the blocks in these dimensions here. Then add some slabs on the outside in this configuration. They should be even with that layer, and you're going to go ahead and start filling in the blocks like I place here, and it's going to lay the framework for the villagers who are going to be sitting on the top layer. The reason it looks kind of strange is because in the corners we're going to have slightly different modules for the villagers with the beds. Not a whole lot to say here, just keep filling in these half slabs as shown. Make sure that every block is non-spawnable. All the floor blocks should be bottom slabs. Before you get your villagers in, you're going to want to idiot-proof your compound a little bit, just to be sure that no villager can escape, because they will if they can. Then you can go ahead and fill the beds in these corner slots, and once you get the carpet ready to receive them, you're about ready for your villagers. You can do this using the same method as before or with a minecart. I would like to say though that be sure that your farm is safe from baby zombies coming in the small holes. It should be safe from regular ones. Just make sure that it is completely mob proof as well so that you don't get any unexpected visitors. Then you can go ahead and give all those villagers their trade stations and start building up all of your iron farming modules. To do this as shown here, placing 4 chests up and then all hoppers leading directly into those chests, and then put a rail and a hopper minecart and it should be done. Then put the rest of those in, and you can go ahead and put the poppy collection system in if you so desire. And then it's on to getting our pillager. You want to trap a pillager from a raid in one of these boxes, and then over time he'll gradually shoot his bow at you and break it and become pacified. Just bear in mind that if you are standing in the corner, he can hit you, and if you are blocking it with his shield, that arrow will bounce back and hurt him, which you don't want to happen. Then put him in his slot using a furnace minecart so that you don't have to use any powered rails. And go ahead and put 3 blocks up from his spot so that he doesn't move, just like this. And once you break his minecart, he should stay in that slot, and then you can send him directly down into the hole with no problems. And then you can take out that temporary line in there. So now, as long as your villagers have slept within the last 20 minutes, you should be getting more than 1200 iron per hour. And now finally, you can go ahead and begin bringing your villagers in one by one. You can use the same method to put the pillager in, or you can use the beds at nighttime method. It's really up to you. I was brainstorming a little bit about how you can make an entrance to this farm, so I recommend some stairs like this, or you could do a tunnel in the very bottom hole. You can get creative and decide what you'd like to do with that. And here, this is just me proving that even if you do get an iron golem spawn in this configuration, he actually won't be able to kill your very valuable pillager, so that is really nice. So this is how I recommend setting up this little area that confused me the whole time. This is just so that you can get back here to press the button on your dispenser to send your boys up. And the leaves, make sure they don't suffocate. Also, be sure not to forget the beds and the second villager breeder like I did. And finally, put a lightning rod down somewhere in the area so that your villagers don't get turned to witches. If you're still here, I'd like to just say thank you for watching, and your farm should now be complete. You now have one of the most powerful and compact farms the game of Minecraft has to offer. If you like this farm, feel free to check out my other videos or stay tuned for more new content. Also, you're a cool person, so subscribe only if you feel like it. Check out the world downloader schematic if you have any more questions, or feel free to comment below. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.